Okay, we're rolling. Kelly, thanks for being here. Tell me about your flower shop.
My flower shop's in Belgrade. It's on 161 West Madison Avenue. It's called Perfect Harmony Floral, and we just opened up in July of this year.
Cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks.
What's the what's the consensus of what you guys do primarily, or the
So,
scope rather?
what makes us unique is we do pretty much everything. So, we're a floral shop, so we do daily deliveries, birthdays, anniversaries, last minute, just because or I'm sorry because. But we also do events, not just weddings, but funeral sprays. We do anniversaries. We do like baby shower reveal, gender reveal parties, um, family reunions, just any kind of event like banquets. It's anything. People call with all kinds of different things, and we
Yeah,
just
for
try
sure.
to accommodate it. So,
How'd you get into this? How'd it start?
um, honestly, it's like a total God story. It's crazy. I was in the legal field for 15 years, and it was just toxic. And it was just aging me. I didn't feel like there was anything left after work. I go home for my family. I was exhausted. I was constantly in the state of, you know, legal argument. um, and it just came to a point where I decided I'm at the point in life where I need to do something that I really enjoy. And so through a lot of, life events and consulting with my family and my husband and friends, it just led me to flowers, nature, things that I used to love to do. As a kid, my family was always in the forestry, either mills, logging, or Forest Service, and I was always in nature. All summer, we would spend summers up in logging camp with my grandparents. My grandma was always the camp cook. We'd always get morels and huckleberries and pick wildflowers. So it was just part of my roots, really.
That's a beautiful transition from the legal field to flowers.
It was, like I said, it's a total God story. It brought me back to who I wanted to relate to as a person. Um, Kind of had like an identity to where the legal field was taking over my entire identity, and that's not how I wanted to identify myself. So getting back to the more wholesome, down to earth nature and faith based um, business was where I was going. So and
Congrats to
now
you
I'm
for
here.
making that. I know it's not easy to
Yeah,
make a big transition, so
yeah.
congratulations for that.
Thank you. So.
So, are you doing all the delivery yourself? Is that in house or somebody else does it?
Nope, everything is all me right now.
Okay.
So just starting up. Anybody started their own business, they know it takes a long time before you start bringing money in. All the accounting, deliveries, floral design, floral ordering, all of it's me. Well, and my husband, he's like my biggest cheerleader, so he
That's
always helps
awesome.
me out. So
Yeah, I could
yeah,
relate to that on being you're
yeah.
doing everything. Hi, folks. Quick note from me. If you don't already know, the goal of Mountain Mule Media is to build real connection between Montana's businesses and the people they serve. If this episode or any other has given you something worth thinking about, smiling at, or passing along, I've got a small ask. Share it with a friend, text it to someone, post it in your story. That one simple action helps these businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this show keep going. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. Now back to the show. So what's a day in your shop look like? Where let's talk about these flowers. Where'd they come from? And what's
Um, Good question. I like that. So lots of the flowers that are seasonal, I get from local vendors. So we have the whole Galveston County has tons of flower farms. If you look at this purple, I'm going to reach across
Yeah,
here.
sure.
This like purple burgundy, this is an amaranthus. That's local. We also have these pods that are local. There's tons of like zinnias and dahlias, and they have a little gathering every Tuesday to where you can go. They set up their little booths and you can shop what they have on season. Um, and then as things go in and out of season, you kind of have to source. There's sources on the West Coast, East Coast, and then international. I try to source my flowers on the West Coast, Spokane. There's some in Boise, and that's about as far west as I'll go. And then specialty flowers, there's not a whole lot on the East Coast that I'm familiar with right now, like as I'm still getting um, more resources and connections, but I do have to order some of my flowers internationally, and a lot of florists do that. So those usually come from Colombia and Ecuador. So I try not to. Tariffs right now are not fun,
Yeah, I bet.
but you gotta get them. They're beautiful. So
And pardon any of my ignorance with my questions because it might surprise you, but I'm not a flower expert.
no worries.
Do you have anything that's potted, or is everything? I mean, tell me
Oh,
the terms of this is all like this stuff is all cut and not potted.
exactly. Yeah, no, good question. So I do cut flowers and I do have house plants.
Okay,
I don't do um like hanging baskets and things like that. Obviously, it's kind of the end of the season for that anyways. So we'll see what next spring brings, but I do have a whole variety of houseplants in the shop, not on the website, but they are in shop.
cool. And your office is right in Belgrade.
hmm So it's below Heart to Heart, which
Yep.
is on the 161 West Madison.
Okay.
It's in the basement, so you're going to use I think it's kind of the west entrance
Yep.
of that building. So
What are your hours there if anyone wants to come look at anything you have in inventory?
So it's 9 to 5.
Okay.
I try to make sure I'm in the shop. Like I said, if I have deliveries, I do. I just flip the sign over and say I'll be back in 45 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on where my delivery's at. But Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 is the shop hours. I do inquiries for weddings and events pretty much 24/7.
Okay.
So
And when did you say you opened up?
July of this year.
Okay. So if you had any, has it been, is there any like crazy busy times? I guess you would have been after Mother's Day and that
hmm
sort of stuff. Are you anticipating some?
So I officially opened the shop in July. So
Okay.
the online has been open since sorry,
That's okay.
like the beginning of May, end of April.
Yep.
And tons of friends and family that heard what I was doing were like, when are you going to order flowers? I want a bouquet. I want to see. So since I decided to do it and got my EIN and was able to order wholesale flowers, I've had tons of friends and family and word of mouth just call me up on my personal phone and ask for bouquets. So Mother's Day was fairly busy for me. I think I had about 15 bouquets, which for not even having a business storefront or anything like that, not even a website, I thought that was flattering because
Yeah.
word of
Very cool.
mouth and friends and stuff were excited to see my work. So, and then since then, I came in a little bit late for the wedding season, so I haven't done any weddings this year. But I've already got some weddings stuck on the calendar for 2026, and then this um, winter weddings. I've got one. Um, but it's kind of crazy. I never like professionally worked at a floral shop or anything. I just always kind of did this for friends and family, um, more for fun and a hobby. We did the flowers for my own wedding, and I don't know. It's something that's always been kind of a passion that I didn't know I had, and this transition's really brought that out. Like,
Has has doing this taught you anything like about flowers or
oh
about the
my
business that
gosh.
you never knew before?
Yeah, so you learn a ton. I've always been into like gardening and flowers. I've had a big yard, lots of flower gardens and vegetable gardens, but you always learn. Like you learn about pests, you learn about, your pH and your soils, you learn about um, obviously perennials and annuals and types of flowers and the different varieties of flowers. And so you're constantly learning. And just as far as floral design, there's a lot of mechanics that go into it. So wiring, processing, you've got different mechanics for doing arches for weddings and banister garland. And it's like the ultimate craft. I mean, you take flowers, which are kind of a delicate medium, and you just create these artistic displays with them. And I don't know, people love them. If you think about it, well, I think about it as, nature and flowers and everything has been a part of everybody's life. It's nostalgia. You look back to playing in your yard or picking dandelions or camping trips. It just seems like flowers and that connection to nature is related to pretty much every experience in some way.
Yeah, and they're beautiful, so it's got to be a fun occupation in the sense of when you're giving them to people and I mean, generally, as anytime I've bought flowers for anyone, it's always a fun experience to gift
Mm-hmm.
flowers, and they're just
Yeah.
cool to have in the house, and they're
Yeah. The exception is end of life
yeah, for sure.
rose,
Yep.
but those you can get really creative on those too, though, and it feels like you really do feel honored to be a part of that stage in life because, um, I mean, I this last spring, I lost my well, we had my stepdad's memorial, and I got to do his spray, and it was cool because, he was military, so it was red, white, and blue.
Yep.
He was nature, so we had turkey feathers in there. It's not just all about flowers
Yeah.
either. Like, there's cowboys that like their cowboy hat put on their funeral spray or their favorite pair of boots incorporated into it. So it's so personal, and it's really a beautiful statement.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
You have I was gonna say for men, but for anyone, do you have any hot tips for when people are buying flowers for someone? I was like I said, I was gonna say men for women, but just anyone in general. Is there anything to think about or know that
um, honestly, just get to know your florist. Everybody has like their own style.
Mhm.
Um, Even if like my style is more rustic nature, I like the more, whimsical feeling flowers. But then there's also like your traditional, just a dozen roses. You want them rounded off, you want them, baby's breath. And it's just the traditional stuff is pretty basic, like a template. But if you get with a florist that has a creative vibe and wants to explore different designs and stuff, there's some really cool things out there. So, and if you're not sure what to buy, ask your florist what's in season. So you know you're getting like the freshest flowers that are going to last longest. You can always, a lot of people just call and say, I want this color. And I'm like, cool, let's get a little bit more information. Um, but there's colors, fillers, shapes. And your florist should know what you want and what questions to ask to get a better idea. So,
you said you used the term whimsical when you say that.
hmm
What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that?
um, I don't know. Like, some girls are very like pink and lace and rhinestones, and there's other girls that are very, more like fairies and burlap and fairy light type things. And
Okay.
then I guess I would be kind of a mix between that and more rustic. Like I like to use stumps. I like to use moss. I like to use tree cookies. Um, I like to use a lot of branches. And instead of just putting a big splash of flowers in a vase, I like to incorporate them like on trees and in branches and to where you're you're adding emphasis to what's already in nature. So if you have like a big willow tree, instead of putting a big bouquet at the base of it and just saying, here you go, here's your flowers, you can like do garland to where it wraps around the trunk and then bring it up around a branch and have the flowers come down. Like whimsical. I
Yeah.
don't know. To me, I
Almost like
think
you're
that's nice.
complimenting the
Yeah.
beauty that's already there.
Yeah, exactly. So not so much, and like I said, it just comes down to your style. There's women who like glam, like they want like the little rhinestones in their roses and they want like more gold and big vintage silver and gold vases and more of those bolder statements like darker red colors, things like that. So there's a ton of styles and it really just depends on the person that you're trying to buy flowers for.
For
So
sure. And tell me the name of the of your shop.
it's Perfect Harmony Floral.
Okay. Is there any story behind the name? Where it came from
Yeah.
or
um wow, this is kind of a long story. I'm going to try to wrap it up in a
it's okay.
nutshell, but I have to, like, there's some details I have to include. So, through this transition of legal to floral, um, there was a series of events. So, I didn't leave, I knew I wanted to leave the legal field, but I was going to do it on my own terms. Well, turns out that wasn't God's plan. He knew that if I wasn't booted out of the legal field and just had no other choice, I would just say, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad." So, um, series of events. I was booted. I, anyways, there was a big settlement, stuff like that, but it was more like he was like, no, you're done with this. You're going to move on. This is not where I want you. So he slammed that door in my face and he's like, all right, listen, child, this is where I want you. So through that, though, there was a lot of stress, a lot of prayer. My mom, my husband, my mother-in-law, my kids, which watched me go through school, watched me work my way to the top of my profession. They were really hurt and they knew like I was wronged. And my son's 21 and he actually sat down with me when I told him, and he sat down with me and he cried. And I was just like, and 21-year-old boy, he's like totally not mama, wants to do his own thing, doesn't stop by the house hardly. But when I told him that, he broke down and I realized how much he was a part of this, you know, profession I was in and watched me struggle so much and fight so much and put so much into it. And that really hit me because, he and I had gotten a little distant because the separation, he wants to be an adult and stuff. So when I realized how bad that hurt him and how much he saw me work for that and him actually cry, um, it really inspired me to be like, you know what? No, this is a good thing. You don't have to be upset. Um, and I appreciate the fact that you saw everything I gave up and sacrificed to get where I'm at. But this is a good thing. We're gonna make the best of it. Um, and eventually, anyways, brought families into my life and friends that I hadn't networked with before that really helped ground me and figure out, um, you know, to make sure I was listening to where God was calling me. And there was a situation where one of my friends that she's a prayer warrior. She's crazy. She texted me one day and she said, you know what? She's like, God laid it on my heart today. And I prayed about it. And he's like, I really feel like God's calling you to do something, that you used to do when you were a kid. Like there's got to be something from your childhood. That's what I feel like he's telling me. And so like a minute, 2 minutes later, she texts me again. She's like, right after I sent you that text message, I walked into the other room and my husband had worship music on. This is the song that came on. Well, the song that came on, the title of it is When You Were a Child. Anyways, the lyrics of that song brought me to my knees and really made me start thinking. So I got on the computer and I Googled, jobs that incorporate nature. And so there was, floristry, there was photography, um, Forest Service, just a tons of stuff. But as soon as I saw florist, I was like, oh, that's it. I was like, that's crazy. So my husband gets home and I've been known for having a lot of crazy, random, sporadic ideas. Like I've wanted to open up a wedding venue. I've wanted to open up a bed and breakfast. I'm like, when we retire, let's do this and that. And he just looks at me and shakes his head. Like I want goats, I want chickens. Well, we have chickens now, but he knows that if he just kind of doesn't say anything, it'll kind of roll. And, but I told him, I was like, I'm going to be a florist. I'm going to open up my own floral shop. And he's like, oh, okay. That's a cool idea. Not thinking that I was serious about it. And, so a couple weeks go by and I'm still like, I'm going to do this flower shop thing. And he's just like, oh my gosh, I can tell he's not quite there with me. But anyway, so I told my mother-in-law and my mom, and they were just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is great. But when I told my mother-in-law, she actually told me, she's like, that's crazy because this morning I just watched a movie on Hallmark and it was the Easter Bloom. Anyways, so it's all about this flower farmer and whatnot. And she's like, it reminds me of you. You got to sit down and watch it. And she's like, and there's something else in there that you got to sit down and watch it. So I sit down and I watch this movie and, there's like 5 elements of floral design and one of them is harmony. And so this older lady's trying to teach this girl about the element of harmony when you make floral designs. And so she turns on a song on her old record player and it's an old, hymn, Down to the River to Pray. Anyways, it's an old hymn, and that's the song I used to always sing to my daughter when I would put her to sleep. And my mother-in-law, like, always would say, oh, I love it when you sing that song to your daughter and Mav and whatnot. So when I heard that song in that movie, like, it brought me to tears. I was just like, oh my gosh, like of all the songs, of all the times for her to see that movie. Anyway, so that's how Harmony got into the name. And I knew that was like, there's so many times that people try to chalk things up as coincidence, and I've been guilty of that. And this was that time where I realized these are not coincidences. I know I'm going in the direction where I'm supposed to be going, and I need to incorporate this into my business name. So Harmony, and then from there we ended up calling it Perfect Harmony Floral. But that was how the name came about. Like I said, it's a long story.
No, it's a great story though.
But it was great.
It's so cool when you're very connected to the name and what you're
Yeah.
doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
thanks.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a very like deep and just cool transition that you made,
Yeah.
which I know isn't easy to totally change careers and do something different.
No, it's not. So anybody that's done it, I commend you, because it's a process. It's exciting, but yet it is like it's a lot of fear too. You don't know. It's a lot of unknown. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of things that jump out that you weren't even planning on doing. So it's it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate, but it's like it's kind of like you're transforming your entire identity because your identity is so wrapped up in what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very cool that you were brave enough to make that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Is there anything anyone in the community can do to help you as you are on this new business venture? Anything you're looking for, employees, any resources that you've been hard to come
Honestly,
by?
it's just a matter of time, getting my name out there. Anybody that, um, has a friend or family member that just got engaged, say, hey, I heard this, or I know this florist. And just word of mouth. Honestly, the floral community, the floral farmers and stuff locally that I've met are such a tight knit community. They've been so supportive and so helpful. And, um, just it's a totally different atmosphere from the legal field. I mean, that was like a cutthroat, tense, argumentative kind of environment, and now I'm like embraced as a flower and a flower florist, sorry,
Mhm.
and encouraged and supported. And they don't hide their secrets. They're like, hey, did you know this person has this year round, and that person, and um it's just really great. And as far as the community goes, I do have my floral stand up once in a while in front of Heart to Heart. If you see me, even if you don't need flowers, swing by, say hi, chat, learn a little bit more about me, let me learn more about you. Because eventually something's going to come up in life where a birthday, a funeral, a wedding, um, you screw up and you just need a
Yeah,
bouquet of flowers for, I'm sorry. It's going to come up, and I want to be there for you when it does. So
very cool. Do people call to order? Can they order online? What's the process for that?
absolutely. So I've got, you can call me. I can take orders over the phone. You can place orders online. Um, Online is going to have a lot of like the traditional template type bouquets. I've
Yep.
got so much more variety. If you call me up and say, hey, I'm looking for this, this size or that color or this style, I can do it for you.
Okay.
And if you have a vision in your head and you want to see it before you actually purchase it, usually I can look online and kind of piece some things together and show you this is kind of what I'm thinking, this from that bouquet, that from this bouquet, and this is the style. And that way you know what you're getting before you because flowers aren't cheap. They're
Yeah.
expensive, and you want to make sure they're good quality and they're designed the way you want them to look. So,
Very
yeah.
cool.
So,
Well, I appreciate you coming and thank you
yeah,
for bringing the beautiful flowers
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
cool to hear what you're doing and hopefully some more people head your way. Are you guys on
Awesome.
social media too?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I've got Facebook and Instagram,
Okay,
and I'm going to have a storefront on the Knot and the Wedding Wire,
cool.
Wedding Pro. So you should see me out there.
And tell me the domain of your website.
Oh, sorry. It's perfectharmonyfloral.com.
Okay. And I'll
Um,
get all these links and put them all in the caption when this is
and
posted.
also, I'm going to have a booth at the Fall Festival in Belgrade.
Oh, cool.
So I'll have a booth there. I'll have some stuff for homecoming because that's going to be around the corner, things like that. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's cool to hear what you're doing and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening, folks. You can find the full blog post for every episode, along with key takeaways and links at mountain-mule.com. If you haven't yet, consider following the show. That one small action helps these Montana businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this podcast keep going too. If you know a business that would be a good fit for the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out through the website or social. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. See you on the next show.